and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and thanks so much for stopping by. So usually I make videos on DIY home decor, some small apartment organization hacks, and other creative things like food recipes and sewing. So this week's video is going to be a recipe video, and I'm going to show you how to make veggie burgers using things in your fridge or cupboard that are potentially going bad. Or maybe you just have a lot of vegetables and you don't know what to do with them. So this recipe is going to be easy, it's going to be delicious, and it's going to be a great idea for meal prepping. So if you're interested, keep on watching. Alright, so this is a recipe using whatever you have left in your fridge or your pantry. I start off with roasting some sunflower seeds just with some salt and olive oil. And then while that's roasting, I am going to put about 2 cups of water to boil. And what I'm going to put in the water is some batata. This is a Latin version of a sweet potato, and I'm peeling it and chopping it up into large cubes. Once the water boils, you want to season it with plenty of salt. This is about a tablespoon. I just plop them in there with my, I don't know what this is called. It's like a pasta strainer thingamabobber. Yeah, that's what we're gonna call it. And then I grab a medium onion and I just roughly slice that up, and I'm going to go ahead and saute it with some garlic. You want to just roughly chop this garlic into just some semi-large slices. You don't want it to burn when it's sauteing with the onions. I go in with some of that starchy water from the potatoes, and I add in a little bit of oil. So while it's cooking and breaking down, I wanted to add some flavors in there like oregano, parsley, some paprika. If you have smoked paprika, that's good too. Some turmeric and some thyme. And as it's breaking down, you want to add some more of that starchy water so that it helps the onions break down even more, and you get a nice soft mixture. By the end, you want it to look something like this. So if you're curious, that's actually a DIY right here. This is a magnet spice rack that I actually created with my dad. He helped me build it, and it cost me less than 50 bucks. It's an idea that I found on Pinterest. I had a bit of yellow bell pepper that needed some love, so I deseeded it and chopped it, set it aside, and I'm gonna add that in later. Alright, so this is what happens when Ari's left with the remnants of barbecue sauce and chooses not to be wasteful. But don't do this at home, kids. Please don't. I thawed some frozen veg out of the freezer to add some color to the dish, some nice variation in texture. So I just removed a lot of the carrots since there was a lot of carrots. And this is what I have. So I'm using what I got. So I decided last minute to add some jarred sun-dried tomatoes. And finally we have our mise en place, to which I decided to also add about 2 egg yolks, a handful of spinach, and eventually you'll see I added in 2 tablespoons of milled flaxseed. Now you want your beans, I use split peas in this instance. You want them to be as drained as possible. You don't want your masa to be super runny. You want it to be nice and held together well. I have a Cuisinart. It is actually a food processor that I got off of Facebook Marketplace, and it costed me $50. The lady who sold it to me only used it twice, and it is wonderful. I love it. And I'm just adding all of these ingredients into my food processor, and it makes this recipe super easy and not as messy. Now the pieces don't have to be super tiny. That's what the food processor is for. So as you can see here, the spinach is whole, the bell peppers are huge, and the food processor does a lot of the work for you. It's so cool to see the mixture come together like this. But once you start realizing that the top of the mixture isn't mixing well, it may just need to be mixed by hand a little bit, and then you go back in and continue food processing it. So this is the consistency you want, chunky but uniform. So there I go, adding in some milled flaxseed. This is 2 tablespoons. I pulse it a couple times just to get it combined. Next, I go in with 1 cup of all-purpose or whole wheat flour. I fold that in till it's combined, and depending on how wet your bean mixture is, you might want to add more. I added some cayenne pepper for heat, but you can also leave this out. So if you want to freeze this mixture for future use, you can store it away like this. Using wax paper, you form a log so that when it's almost thawed, you can slice it and cook it as you need it. To form it, I just wet my hands and help guide it into a log shape, and then close it up at the top and on the sides. It was late when I made these, so As I let it rest in the fridge, I cleaned up my workspace. And here's a little snippet of what makes me the most happy: a nice, tidy kitchen workspace. The next morning, I decided on using a scoop to prepare the patties since I hadn't freezed them yet. The mixture was just smooth enough to plop them down in portions like this. I believe this scoop is 2 tablespoons, if I'm not mistaken. I got it at a thrift store, so I'm not sure. But it's about 2 tablespoons, and then using a slightly moistened spoon, I flattened them before they cooked. I started off my first batch in my air fryer. I love my air fryer. And I basically cooked it at 340 degrees for 10 minutes and then at 350 for 5 minutes. The second batch was pan-seared, and I used just some olive oil on medium heat until both sides were golden brown. Alright, so the third batch was deep fried. Not as healthy, I know, but it was too tempting to not try. So I hope you are inspired to make this recipe or some variation of it, and come enjoy a taste test with me.
Dang. That smacks. Man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's it. Why is deep fried everything always the best? These are pretty good too. Not as crispy. Well, they've been sitting out for a little while, but the olive oil gives it a nice little twist and flavor. But these are equally as tasty. Look at that. Yum. Yummy. And these are air fried. So they're definitely way more cooked through than the deep fried ones, but you're not gonna get that deep fried flavor flav, you know? Oh, wait a minute. The air fried ones really are not, wow. Okay, so the air fried ones are a little more complex because you're getting a stronger flavor, I guess because it's cooked all the way through. So you're getting like all the complexity of the spices and the fullness of the patty. Like even the thickness is way different between the seared and the air fried, because when it's in the air fryer, it kind of puffs up and you do get like almost like a fuller burger. It's kind of interesting. Honestly, I think I like the air fried one better. I don't know, that flavor of the vegetables and the herbs come through so hard with this one. But you also get a really good crunch with the deep fried ones. And the more they sit, the more they set inside. You can see that the inside of these is a lot more solidified than when I first fried it and took a bite. They're still really crunchy and just, oh, so good. I'm getting full. So good. Do you want to see what he was eating? Ay, ay, ay. Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson. Hey, come here. Not you, Queasy. You wrecked this bowl.